Crowd control is very fun. You cannot change my mind. The ability to move someone against their will in a video game is not only hilarious but also fun. It's way more satisfying to kill someone by pushing them into a hole than just simply gunning them down, because you make them look silly. But is it fun for the opposite player? No! Overwatch 2 has reduced the amount of crowd control abilities in a game and shifted this special skill mostly to the tank role, where the only exception I can think of is Zarya. But at the same time, she has the most powerful crowd control ultimate ability in the game, so might as well ignore this last sentence. It is very rare now to see a DPS character having any kind of stun or knockback. Support role, on the other hand, is a healthy mix between the two, where some heroes have knockbacks or my math lesson in one shot. And it makes sense. Supports are not meant to damage the enemies themselves, but rather make it easier for the rest of your team to do even more than without you. It does not feel unfair when a squishy ant pushes you a little bit. The problem comes when a huge ass greasy pig makes you travel 2 kilometers straight in front of his gun's barrel. Or when a tall scary scientist throws a literal boulder in your face, making you stand up like a weak old man. So why not gather all the annoying factors from the tank role and answer this silly question: who is the most annoying tank to play against in Overwatch 2? Let's quickly gather a full list of our fatties. We have 10 tanks at the time of making this video: D.Va, Doomfist, Junker Queen, Orisa, Reinhardt, Roadhog, Sigma, Winston, Wrecking Ball, and Zarya. All of those heroes are known for their large health pool, that's why they're tanks, but to start our list we can very quickly eliminate from our annoyance list Zarya and D.Va. The two are just not in the higher league among the other contestants. Both of them have very powerful ults that are very clearly designed to force the enemy gamers into certain positions, but funnily enough, the two I mentioned are perfect opposites of each other, like yin and yang. Zarya makes the enemies stuck in one place, whereas D.Va makes them scatter across the map far away from the dangerous bomb. Both of these abilities are ultimates, which means you won't encounter them often in your typical match. It takes a long time to prepare a good ult push, but once you realize it's been a long time since you last saw any ultimates being used, you can easily deduct that a graph push is coming, or the enemy D.Va is preparing a sneaky self-destruct play. Quick announcement! Before we continue, I'm trying to hit 1000 subscribers by the end of this year, and I would really appreciate your support. It's free and you can always change your mind later, so no pressure, and remember, it's your choice. Thank you. Going back to the topic of ultimates, let's cross out Winston next. His crowd control mostly comes from either his dives, where his presence is the crowd control tool, and the ultimate ability, Primal Rage. Killing a Winston is a very simple task if you think about it. All it takes is to focus him when he's really deep into your territory. The 1k health pool sounds big on paper, but in reality, you are becoming a huge punching bag. Simply keeping your distance away from him is also a great counter, but if he insists on diving you while you are playing DPS, for example, do not run away from the Winston. You can always walk past him and go to your team for help. His damage will not kill you that fast, and additionally, it is helpful to stay with at least one of your team members to ensure you stand a fair fight against the monkey. On top of that, Winston diving two supports becomes ultimately useless. Both of them can heal themselves to out-heal his DPS, creating two ultimate farms for one. By the time you stalled him enough, with your heals, your team should be there already to help, or the scientist will leave himself. Lastly, remember that Winston's ult does very little damage. Stay far away from dangerous edges and make sure you stick with your team when you know the enemy Winston might have his ult up. And that should be more than enough to deal with him. Alright, 7 left. Next up we have the big, round, red HUD subscribe button. Just kidding. It's the wrecking ball. I'm talking about the ball. Since the removal of the second tank from the game, it is very hard to spot an actually good Hammond now. What he mostly does now is sometimes rolling through the enemy team or rarely landing that sweet pile driver, but that's it. He's mostly gunned down in the streets like a rat he is, hamster, leaving your team behind without a big hero to protect them all really handicaps your team's potential. While you get ready to do your sick 5-man boop, your team will wait for you at respawn because their diva just boosted straight into them, followed by 2 supports up her ass and some funky wonky DPS that chipped them away. I would say Hammond, as he is right now, might be the top 1 or 2 annoying tanks, but in your team, not the enemy's. I'll gladly take a skilled Hammond in the opposite team over a semi-okay Sigma that sometimes will land a funny rock on me. 6 to go. On the number 6 spot on the list, we have Junker Queen. So, let's take a closer look at the newest addition to our tank roster. I'll start with the ultimate because, to be honest, I'm really disappointed in it. It's really clunky and it really is just a press Q to win. The anti-heal effect is really the only important thing the ult does, the damage is really nothing special unless your team follows it up, and overall it's not very annoying, it feels kinda weak in my opinion. It also most of the times puts her in a very bad position, so it's very easy to turn around and focus her down, especially because she has no means of protecting herself other than the scream. The rest of her kit though is mildly frustrating. What makes it not be in the top giants is that in order to be affected by her annoyance, you either have to be close in range to her or get hit by her right click skill shot. On top of that, if you do get hit by the throwing knife, it is not an immediate death sentence, unlike some other entries on this list. Her primary fire is once again limited by the range it has, and her axe swing is just a buffed Reinhardt in a button. Speaking of Rein, what does he do that is actually disturbing your otherwise peaceful gameplay? Normal Reins are the shields, the anchors, the protectors of the opposite team. It gets out of hand when they go full on honor and glory mode on you. Dying to a Reinhardt pin is, in my experience, mostly me being confused on how the actual flying potato mine did that connect to my hitboxes. If you play another tank into Reinhardt, he immediately stops being as scary. Every fire strike he shoots feels like a quick time event where I need to quickly cha-cha to the right or left to dodge it. Or simply consume the snack with either Diva Matrix or Sigma's dummy pocket dimension that in an exchange for a snack gives back a bonus health pack. On top of that, his ult, if not countered, can single-handedly win games. What disqualifies him from the top 3 menaces is the lack of the real range. He's thankfully limited by his hammer, and in no world do you lose a 1v1 to him if you keep your distance right. Overall, when was the last time you thought to yourself, wow, Reinhardt is the worst tank in the game, or that he should be removed entirely? I bet you don't even let those thoughts pass through your head. But now, we are left with the elite top 3 asshats of the game that make any player's blood boil the moment they just simply start existing. For this last segment, I did a little poll in here to give you guys a little surprise and involvement into my videos. Additionally, I really like this comment that can easily sum up this whole video, but without any prolonging, on the number 3 spot, we have Sigma. You might have forgotten he even exists at this point, but why do I think he deserves this spot nonetheless? This tank is just simply CC heavy. He throws rocks at you, he makes you float like a chicken, and on top of that, he has a splash damage primary fire that can easily scare off any player from passing through chokes. The infinite spammy nature of it does not help at all, as he can just hold left click all day and can alone hold a choke. Too much damage coming in? No problem, Sigma has his personal pocket barrier. Someone is diving you on your team? Man, just throw this huge boulder in them and that will do the trick. Do you see now why I don't like playing against this guy? To add that cherry on top, usually when you do die to him, On the last few seconds of the kill cam, you can see how this douchebag just floats away from your dead body with his back turned to you. Lastly, we have only 2 tanks left, and honestly, I think everyone expected who will win this. So without any hesitation, the number 1 spot for the most annoying tank in the game goes to Rowdy Hog. But before I remind you why this fat pig is the king of banana sandwiches, let's take a short look on why Orisa has come so far and took the 2nd place on the list. Orisa has gained additional crowd control tools from Blizzard and has become some sort of policeman now, where she dictates where everyone in the enemy team should or shouldn't be standing. Are you a little bit too far on the high ground? Here, catch this long stick that will do about 100 damage if you happen to stand near some walls. Are you too close to me? Well, I'll just spin the previously mentioned stick, and that will magically push everything away and activate some steroids to make me run faster. And lastly, if you dare come too close and you brought your friends with you, then we have an answer for that too. The Q I will press and hold will make you regret you joined a new queue at all. So how in the world this stack of stink is less annoying than Roadhog? You see, Orisa has the same issue as Reinhardt, where her effectiveness drops to 0 as soon as they have Pharah or Echo. Additionally, you can abuse Orisa's nature of shooting too much by playing Zarya and profiting of her playstyle, plus without the ult, the horse is easily overwhelmed when there are enemies coming from more than one direction. How Roadhog is more annoying than everyone else? Well, I think I talked in this video enough, so I made a little montage for you to enjoy, and I really want you to get into the mindset of the enemy team and ask yourself this question. Do you think the enemies are having fun in this match? Okay, thank you for watching once again, and if you did get this far, you are the G, my guy, and I really appreciate you. So hopefully you'll have an amazing day or a good peaceful night. If you are still here, then quick reminder to press that like button to feed the YouTube machine and subscribe if you are new. That's it from me now, and see you soon, I guess. Bye bye.